Hello and welcome in, friends. This is Lauren. I just wanted to make a video, very impromptu, and I apologize for any noise in the background, but it just felt perfect to come outside and be in nature while we were chatting. So welcome in to anyone who has already been a patron of my channel. Welcome into anyone new who is just arriving. I'm happy that you're here. And the reason I'm creating this video with really no scripted presentation is to bring forward some channeled information that keeps dropping in really loudly from my guides, and it is for those who identify with the Sisterhood of the Rose, with the Rose lineage of light, and as being energetically sensitive, as being a light worker. There's a lot of messages that today have just been dropping in, asking for some attention and asking for a voice. So here I am, just following my guidance and wanting to give voice to some of the messages that are coming through. I believe that they are coming through with such frequency right now because we have a really jam-packed astrological week coming up ahead. So stay tuned for all of that fun astro weather, but I wanted to kind of unpack a few things. And this particular video is really meant to be talking to those of the Sisterhood of the Rose collective who consider themselves to be, sorry, I'm going to adjust this a little bit, this video, consider themselves to be bringing forward their gifts in an entrepreneurial way as a light worker and sharing those gifts out with the collective. And those who are really working to step more potently into the perfect expression of their own light. So the messages that have really been coming through, and again, just know that I am sharing this from my highest heart to yours in hopes that it will help you on your own journey and what's really been coming up. But we have been in this process, right? We've been in this deep process, working over the Cancer and the Capricorn axis within our own natal charts, based on the transits that are occurring. We've been deeply working and have been very potently working with energies in Taurus, with Uranus there, with Jupiter having been there for so long now in Gemini, right? Carrying those four topics forward into that next house. And what I've really noticed since we had first that initial Capricorn full moon and then the Cancer new moon, and now we are heading into another Capricorn full moon towards the end of this week on the 20th of July. And that is going to be containing this signature of the Mars and Uranus conjunction that also is conjoining with the fixed planet, the fixed star Algol, and is in opposition to what is taking place over Black Moon Lilith, with what is also in the Scorpionic placements, right? And there is a really interesting podcast that I'm going to link to below this video that I found particularly helpful in unpacking some of the archetypes that are in relationship to fixed stars, in relationship to asteroids, and are really bringing in this symbolism of the divine feminine coming up and rising. And so all of this energy is also going to be containing the signature of Venus, who is just emerging as the evening star, finally becoming visible after she has been combust under the rays of the sun. So if you recall, in June, there was a Cazimi moment where both Mercury and Venus conjoined the sun, creating that kuzimi and a rebirthing, so to speak. It was definitely the ending of a cycle for Venus, and then the beginning of this new aspect that I believe she is emerging from the underworld, carrying all of this information she's just received. And she is going to be emerging up in the sign of Leo, in the sign of how we express our own light in a very potent manner. That bird had something to say about it. But it's about us coming and sharing our gifts, I believe, in the most authentic light that we're able to hold and carry. And that is more authentic, more in alignment, and in the right vibratory frequency to now match this up-leveling process that we have been really going through. And a lot of these transits have been serving to really, I believe, help to reinforce a lot of the energies that have just been present from the beginning of this year, but they were present last year as well, which it's this, removing of the old order that hasn't been working, and a lot of the old patriarchal systems that have been in play in all the different ways. So if we can think about what has been in play, not only within systems and structures that are very tangible, but also the intangible, the thought patterns, the unconscious programming that we hold, that we carry within us, that are creating these relationship dynamics that we each will then individually move through the world with and interact in relationship with on all levels of our being. So it enters into all types of our relationships. And I really believe that we are being called to really nurture and tend to those aspects of ourself. And because this vibe that has been really deeply coming up for me is that this is reawakening this aspect within us that's very deep, very guttural, very much tied into the expression of the dark feminine, the embodiment of some of those archetypal energies of Black Moon Lilith, of Eris. There's really so much in play. And to me, it feels like this resurgence of our own divine feminine power, where we're really leaning into that maybe for the first time, and it's most potent and authentic form than we've maybe ever experienced to date in our entire lifetime. And so this is opening and reawakening this process within us that my guides have continued to talk to the fact that we are returning back into a right relationship, into a sense of harmony, into a sense of balance and cohesion within our own understanding of our divine nature. So the divinity that we hold and carry within us has been really going through this authenticity upgrade, and is we are basically, it's kind of, to me in my own process, it's been calling into question what underlying beliefs potentially, or thought programs or patterns or emotional reactivity do I carry that is outdated. It's associated with old ways of being that perhaps were created from more of a patriarchal perspective, perhaps were created in effort to suppress the divine feminine within all of us, to suppress our energetic gifts. And so there's been this unhinging, this breaking apart, so to speak. And a lot of times what will happen for me is I will get visuals given to me by my guides, and what they've shown me is sort of like this: everything's come unhooked, everything's become unhinged, and everything is now floating in the air as choice points. And they've been showing this to me very potently since 2022. But now it's also that they're talking a lot about the polarity. And so this is a touch point that I just wanted to speak to because it's so present right now in our environment. Our environment is becoming even more polarized. There is even more conflict and division, and it's very difficult. My guides have shown me, and specifically the Marys have been talking about in relationship to those of us who identify as being a part of the Sisterhood of the Rose collective of light workers and holding that energy, that there is a division within kind of that collective that they're showing me, and they're showing me part of the collective is still very enthusiastic. And that part of the collective includes only a few of what they're just sort of referring to me as like more advanced light workers who have been on mission, so to speak, for a while now, number of years, working at bringing forward their light in this way. Only a few are still feeling enthusiastic. There's a large part that are brand new, just awakened, and just leaning into that feeling and that call of being called towards working with their light in a greater capacity and bringing that forward, perhaps as a spiritual entrepreneur. So within the enthusiastic group, there are a bunch of newly awakened light workers. There are light workers who are fairly fresh and brand new and already are making those steps to bring forward their light in a greater extent in how they are serving others, whether that is through business, whether that is just by sharing their gifts, however is right for them, but they are doing that more enthusiastically and they know that's their calling. And then there's a few who I'll just refer to as the old school carriers of the Rose lineage of light who still remain enthusiastic and are still serving with potency. So they're showing me this group, and then they're showing me this other group of light workers who a majority of them are very seasoned and have been around with some of those enthusiastic light workers who I'm calling the OGs, the first, second, third wave of light workers who have shown up on this on the planet to carry forward this Rose lineage of light. That part of the collective, there are waves of them, but they've been at this for a while. There's a lot of them, and I would identify a lot with this as feeling almost as if the wind has been taken out of your sails, feeling very tired, feeling very exhausted, feeling even as if you're not sure if this is going to still be your path. My guides have been speaking to that piece of the collective, and they have a message. If this is of resonance to you, they have a message that they'd like to remind you of a few things. And the first is that this period that is so difficult right now is creating that feeling of having another dark night of the soul again. And for many who are very weary, many who are really experiencing that deep rearrangement and death and rebirth process in their own lives, are feeling a very difficult time in maintaining that sense of hope. And what I'm hearing is that it's time to go within, that it's time to turn back to those original practices that you know to be true. It's time to listen back into the silence of your heart and the truth within your heart, and to not allow the polarity that's present to knock you off course to the extent that you can no longer see the light, is what they're saying. So they're sort of saying that if you are having a hard time, that is an indicator for you to take time to go within and to really reconnect with your own heart light, your own inner truth, and to sit with that further. And, you know, I think journaling is really helpful in times like this when we're going through just that period of peeling back more layers. Another greater opportunity for some deeper shadow work will create space. What I'm hearing from my guides right now is this is creating space for your divinity to come through more potently. That there's something there that is still falling away that was perhaps related to an outdated version of self. And that many of us are having to go through that chrysalis phase again. Right now we're receiving a lot of energetic upgrades as well. They're pointing out that the sun codes, the light codes that are coming in and to us are creating this cellular renewal, and that for those of us who are incredibly energetically sensitive, what we will do is we will receive this light first into our physical vessels, and then it has to integrate in and through all of our cells to the depths of our energetics. And that takes a lot of energy, and it's hard to do. And so if you notice that you are increasingly more tired than normal, if you're having a harder time feeling enthusiastic, and if you're just sort of feeling a little bit in a funk, what the message, and of course always consult your professionals, your healthcare professionals. If something is feeling off, please go see your doctor, or whoever it is that you trust, right, on whatever level is coming up for you, whether that be physically, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually. But we're feeling this deep sense of exhaustion. And what I'm hearing is it's time to really nurture and nourish your nervous system, and to ask our animal body. I keep hearing the animal body, that we're tuning into our animal body, and we're asking our animal body, what does it need right now? What do you need right now to feel good physically? What do you need to feel good from a mental and emotional perspective? And so I'm going to, just for fun, create a separate video, and I don't know if I'll call it for fun, but just for experiential purposes, we'll say. That's the fun. I'm going to create another video with some, just whatever comes off the cuff through the channeling, some journaling prompts that might help us to kind of unpack and explore this for ourselves. But what I recommend is to really get to know that area of your natal chart right now, to take a look at the Cancer and Capricorn axis on your own natal chart, to look at the house that it happens to fall in for you, and what areas of life are really being affected by this transit that has really, I shouldn't even call it a transit, it's been a process. We are being worked really deeply on this Cancer-Capricorn axis, and it's been taking place over the course of a month and a half. So this is deep work, and I would even argue that this began at the preceding new moon in Gemini, before that first Capricorn full moon. So we're really working through that entire house system of Capricorn, and we're reflecting it back into our relationship of that opposition with Cancer, and what do we need to both nourish, and then what needs to be reworked in terms of the structure of our thoughts, the structure of our emotional patterns, the structure in our lives. You know, you'll have to zoom in on the area of life that this is truly affecting for you, to really maybe even generate your own journaling questions or journaling prompts to help you kind of take a little bit more of an introspective, deeper dive into what is actually coming up for you right here, right now, as these lunations are passing us by. What are the topics that are coming forward for you to work through? Because something's getting ready to come to its culmination point here shortly with that next full moon that we're having, which is in an out of sign conjunction with Pluto. So this next full moon will be happening at the 29-degree mark of Capricorn, and Pluto will be at 1 degree of Aquarius. They're within orb, they're out of sign from one another, but they're very firmly speaking. And this is actually also touching upon, that squaring energy is touching upon a degree point that is related back to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that happened just before everybody's life changed in 2020. And I really believe that there is this deeper process that has been at hand and underway, in particular these last 2 years. But this year in particular has been a very big year of the falling down, the continued tower moment, we'll say. And that's happening on the collective stage, but it's also happening within our individual lives. And again, you can tune in more specifically when you're looking at the transits and which area of your life this is really highlighting or impacting, and start to have a little bit more insight. It can kind of help with the guidance there. So there's another message about holding the polarity, knowing that we are existing in this extremely polarized environment where what we're really seeing come at us is the negative pole right now. We're seeing a lot of that negativity. We're really seeing and experiencing a lot of that chaos energy, not only on the global stage and the national stage, but also showing up in our lives. And what Spirit is really wanting to have me speak on a bit, and one of the big reasons why they wanted me to create this video, is to remind everybody that within that polarity is the other end of the pole. That access now that is open to all of this beauty, all of this light, all of this grace, all of this miraculous energy that we are meant to work with. And specifically for the Sisterhood of the Rose Collective, what I'm hearing and what came through in my last one of my last videos was that we are meant to be sculpting and utilizing this energy for our benefit, but also for the collective benefit, on the behalf of all and the betterment of all. And so what they were guiding me to say is to potentially even welcome in some mantras of simply holding within your heart space the mantra of, I am welcoming in an expanded consciousness of love into my awareness. I am, when you're speaking your intentions out into the universe, making sure to add in what is in for my highest good and the highest good for everyone involved. What is in the best interest for everyone involved in this situation. And really, what I'm really hearing is to not forget that we are co-creating with Spirit, that we are surrounded at all times by our guides, by our angels, by our ancestors that are supporting us each uniquely in this lifetime. That we also, in addition to that, have access to high vibrational ascended healing masters. Many of us, as part of the Sisterhood of the Rose Collective, we work directly with specific ascended masters and guides. And those guides are saying, hey, use me, I'm here, and we are meant to be now co-creating. We are coming into a new relationship with this co-creation process and how we work. And it's no longer about a process of manifestation and needing to do it on your own. It is now what they just are beating the drum about for me is to speak on this process of it being a process of co-creation, where we welcome in our guides into the process. We welcome in whoever that is. So the collective of our guides, our angels, our ancestors supporting us, any spirit guides, any animal allies, any plant allies, any ascended masters we may be working with as well. Just calling all of that in as part of a collective of what I always just refer to as spirit, because it's of that spiritual realm. So calling in our connections that are each personal to us from a vibrational perspective into our own personal process of co-creation and then asking for that process to then be coming through with the intention of what is in the highest and best good for everyone involved. And that process then takes it to a much higher level. It opens up space. What I'm hearing is it opens up space for miracles to occur within our life. It opens up space for us to then create from that higher octave, the highest octave and highest vibrational standpoint that we have access to in that moment. We will then be creating with the help of spirit. And what I'm hearing then is that takes the guesswork out of everything for us, that this actually is a much more simplified process in the long run, because no longer does that create the need for us to strive against anything. What it does instead is it shifts us in this place of gratitude and knowing that we have benevolent forces, benevolent energies that are working with and for us and on our behalf, and that is on its way, that it's something that we are working with, that it will show up in the physical form within the physical realms in its own divine and perfect timing, and that will be in accordance with what is best for us in that moment and what is best for everyone involved. And that as we are working to contain this relationship, contain is not the right word, as we're working to embrace this relationship, we're still holding this space of the double duality, the polarity, I should say, and so we're knowing that we are bringing our shadows, we're bringing whatever difficulty is present right now in this moment, whatever we would consider that opposite side, we're bringing that in to have a seat at the table as we're co-creating with spirit, because it's part of the whole. So we're including it as part of the whole from which we create, knowing that this may not be the reality we wish to hold, but in order to co-create with spirit, we must include all of it as part of our equation, part of what we're working, the energy that we're working with, so that we can then elevate some of this into some of that beautiful, miraculous co-creation energy that we're meant to really be sculpting with. And that, as cliche as it sounds, what they are saying is this is how we are creating new earth or heaven on earth. It is through our own participation with that in our individual lives, and that we must really be focused on creating that for ourselves at this moment. Because when we do that, and when we're focusing on that, we're inviting in flow, we're inviting in joy and play, and we're inviting in miracles into the process. And that frequency itself, when we are naturally going about our own mission of working with our energy, part of that for probably all of us is to be grounding our energy in and connecting our energy into the earth plane, grounding this love vibration, this expanded heart vibration in its higher vibratory essence. We're grounding that then into the physical plane itself as well. And what my guides are sharing with me is that many of us don't realize the significance of that, the power that we actually hold when we're doing that, and the actual impact that has as far as sending out healing waves, because we're grounding this frequency in that highest potent expression. And now I'm hearing them say this ties back to the unhinging of some of those old programs, some of those old patriarchal paradigms that we are really stepping away from, as we're returning back into this sense of right relationship and understanding our personal divinity. We're also understanding that our energy and our power and our ability to create was suppressed for years through the verbiage, through the conditioning that we've received, through the messages that have just been pervasive in society for everyone. Specifically for the divine feminine, we specifically have had that aspect removed from our identity, and this is a reclamation of beginning to really work with the potency and the power and the potential that we each hold within our bodies, within our physical vessel, and that we're able to tap in through our heart space, we're able to tap in through our breath, through our mind's eye, and through guided meditation and different energetic practices that we can use to really work with our energy in order to be in communion with the quantum realms and with spirit, right? But we're bringing this new potency into the situation because we're realizing this has been part of what's been holding us back. And as we are realizing that, some of the things, and at least this is how it's been dropping in for me, is that it's called into question my dynamics with how I'm interacting with my family members, with my friends, with my loved ones, with my husband, with my children, with my extended family, with myself. And there's been a lot of inner child work that's really come up through the cycle. And I believe the reason for that inner child work is that we are going deep into the depths of those foundational wounds that we carry forward. Wounds that we have carried forward, very likely from the womb space, very likely from ancestral patterns that have been passed to us from well-intending and sometimes not family members, but also these energetic, what I'm really getting is that timelines came unhinged as well. When they showed me kind of like everything became unhinged, they showed me timelines dropping in almost as if they were splices and that they're parallel to one another. And so there's several. And it's as if we're jumping in and out of various timelines and like jumping into this lesson over here and then pulling it back into the now moment, jumping into this lesson over here, pulling it back into the now moment in order to alchemize. And that's another reason that Spirit is saying you don't realize just how powerful you are, that you are this magic weaver that is able to jump in and out of the space-time continuum and bring all of those energies within you to this now moment in order to shift that on all timelines. So we're bringing it to our now, and then we're creating the shift, and that's rippling back out into whichever those timelines were that we were jumping in and out of. Sorry for the neighbor dogs in the background. They're chasing a bunny really quickly. But I think that, kind of calls focus into the process underway. That we really are doing this very deep work. And so of course you're exhausted. If this is you, if you're resonating with this, of course you're exhausted because we're very likely in our dream state going into the ethers and doing work in a different way. And so just holding yourself in very nurturing space during this time, really working on your energy, really working on nourishing your vessel, and however that means to you, is really the guidance, and to go easy on yourself, to bring in some compassion and some tenderness, and to really sit with what do I tenderly need to shift for myself that will ultimately hold me in a much greater foundation energetically as I go forward. So I hope that these messages today were really helpful. Please let me know if this is resonating with you. If you are finding yourself resonating with these messages, I would really love if you would just subscribe, because I have so many channels that want to come through. And one of my questions as I'm creating this, which I'm sure it's normal for everybody to kind of go through this as they're creating a channel, but being so intuitively guided, I want to make sure that this is actually resonating with other people. So hitting that subscribe button will help me know that I'm reaching your heart and that you wish to receive more of these messages. I'm going to be creating a fun series that I just started called Ask the Oracle, as a way for you to send me some questions that you'd like me to channel guidance in around. So any subject matter, any challenge that you're going through, anything like that, I will be popping a email account into the video description as well. And I ask you to just email me anything that is of resonance, and I will go into the process of meditation and connect in to my guides to then bring that question forward and ask, you know, whatever might want to come through. And that's part of what is, I hope to bring forward more content relating to how we can each connect into different aspects of our divinity and grow that sense of our own intuitive muscle. That's actually the first question for the series of Ask the Oracle, is how can I connect into my intuition more? And so it's going to get its own video, but I will absolutely tell you that I believe that we all are equally capable of tuning in to our intuition and receiving messages. It's not just unique to me. It's not just unique to other mediums or other channels that you've seen. What it is the person or the individual has taken time to really cultivate that relationship that they have. And they've worked on refining that relationship into a point that it comes through where they know it's a yes to share the messages. And it's taken me a while to get there. I didn't realize that my own guidance system, specifically the Marys, didn't present themselves to me as a collective field of energy, and really give me what felt like that go signal, I guess is the best way to say it. Is it sort of was like, for the longest time I thought the messages was all of the wisdom was just for me as I was doing my work. Many of you know that I have recently transitioned from only doing one-on-one work as a mindfulness coach and an energy healing coach, and an intuitive guidance coach, to now shifting into more of a collective platform to devote myself to bringing forward some of these messages that want to come through on behalf of the collective, for the Sisterhood of the Rose. And the reason is I got that channeled guidance really requesting me to do so, and it felt like a big ask, but it also felt really exciting. And that's an example. I'm being told to use this example right now to share with you. Many who are listening to this video are in this stage of either initiating a spiritual business or they're about to. They're about to share their gifts more potently. And I want you to know that you receive these calls, these urges forward to do so. And it can feel really daunting. It can feel scary, unknown. You could have a sense of fear about it because it's new territory for you to discover about yourself. But we are each being asked to shine our light more potently and to bring these gifts out into the world because humanity needs it, the collective needs it. And so there's this big piece where there is an ego death happening as well as part of our work, where we're shedding away many of the things that would have stopped us previously from showing up in certain ways. And we're really listening to that intuitive guidance and feeling that intuitively led call to just try, to just see, to just explore it. And, you know, that's in large part what this channel is about. It's just an exploration of this aspect where I've been really intuitively guided to share from. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has touched your heart in some way and has kind of helped bring a bit of perspective to some of the stuff that's going on. Be very cautious in terms of, by being cautious, what I mean to say is make sure to wear your mindful cap this week. Be the observer of self this week, specifically the 15th and even the 16th. There's really potent energy in the sky that can come out in very unexpected ways. Some of those ways could be very volatile, and it does have the signature included that it could create lasting change. So when we're operating from that higher vantage, that eagle's perch perspective of being the observer, we can take that beat, take a pause for a moment before we respond to make sure that we're in our full alignment in doing so. And know that it's not you, that the energy that we're feeling right now, it's not you, it is all around us. And we're being asked to go within, to find that peace, find that solace within ourselves, to bring ourselves back into being the calm in the eye of a storm. So with that, I send you so much love. Please like this video if it has touched your heart in some way. I would really love to hear from you in the comments. What's going on? What could I speak to further? And we'll bring you some more channeled guidance shortly. Thanks everybody. Much love to you all. Bye for now.